What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So this particular topic is one that is not trying to leave me alone. As much as sometimes I want to put this whole conversation about Starfield away, some new meme comes into perspective. And I almost always target Spider-Man because at the same time, I remember how many said to me that Starfield was going to be this failure of a game. Spider-Man 2 was going to be the end all and be all. And in my mind, I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't necessarily think that Starfield was going to be anything insane. Having seen the way Todd Howard basically came and said, yeah, the game is running at 30 FPS, that already told me, okay, this is going to be a game that's not going to impress a lot of people. Phil Spencer even came out in an interview and said, there is no world where Starfield comes out and it's an 11 out of 10 and people start to trade their, PlayStation 5s for Xboxes. I remember these conversations happening. But there's one thing a lot of people usually harp on, and that's like, oh, they hyped Starfield up to be the game of the generation and all of this stuff, when in reality, there's full context as to everything that was said. But it seems for the most part, a lot of people want to just block their ears to a lot of these details. But here we are today. Starfield has gone from one of the most talked about games to one of the most poorly reviewed games to one of the most memed games, and even now to another meme that has come up and making it one of the more celebrated games in 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, I kid you not, this game is very different in its own right. So if you come to the Steam Awards page, I think this is funny, folks. Starfield is basically has been selected in the Steam Awards as the game with the most innovative gameplay. Now, this is funny, though, because at the end of the day, I don't think any of the games on this particular, list makes it for innovative gameplay. None. I mean, if you think about all the games that are being featured, they've actually been done in one form or the other. If you even say Baldur's Gate 3, it is the third game in the lineup of games that Larian has done. So it's not their first rodeo in making a game like that. So innovation doesn't even really come to mind. But I think this is probably a meme or a troll from the Steam community as to what they really feel about this game. But nonetheless, it leaves my mind thinking, and it leaves my thought process in a place where it's spinning, saying, why is Marvel Spider-Man 2 not on this list? Publicity is the most important factor that's going to sell your game. Baldur's Gate 3 had that publicity right out of the gate, with the weird scene in that game having pushed awareness more than anything else. It is that awareness that's going to push sales. It is that awareness that we are used to in regard to sales being put forward. And right now, Starfield is going to continue with this awareness and roll and spiral into its DLC, the changes the game is going to make. And just like I had said and I had predicted, those who continue to say that Starfield is a bad game, you're going to continue to wake up to more and more of these things. Sales numbers are going to be the least of your worries at some point, because at the end of the day, that's not really what a lot of gamers prioritize. If you get what I mean, people just sometimes they just want to veg out and play a video game, because that's usually the way gamers, normally roll. I'm quite surprised that many people have taken this whole conversation to a whole different level, because you will see in this comment section people telling me that I'm defending Starfield. Never said anything as to the quality of the game so far, but you're going to see it in the comment section. Oh, regardless of how you want to spin it, Starfield is such a bad game. I know, shut up. We know already. It's such a bad game that they're over here basically memeing the game into oblivion. Because here's a problem with what I think a lot of gamers are being challenged, by, is they won't shut up about a game that they say is bad. They'll continue talking about it. The more you continue to whisper about this, looming, very terrible bad game, more and more people are going to be looking and saying, what is this looming, terrible bad game about anyways? You see, the only people that are not going to be able to loom are the people who are actually curious enough but have not, in a sense, pursued any means to check it out. And most of them are people who are maybe on a different, platform like PlayStation or maybe on the Nintendo Switch. If these folk had the opportunity to go ahead and test out Starfield, I guarantee you that a certain percentage of them would do it. And I think it brings us back to this conversation, and I've been hearing this claim all this while, and I never really wanted to bother with it. I've always said this is kind of very silly. When people are saying it appears that this game is suffering from jealousy from people who are on the side of the divide, who have no access to play this game. Now, if you have a PlayStation and a PC and you refuse to play Starfield because, you know, you don't want to, and your PC can actually carry Starfield, I get it. I'm not talking about you. If you have a PlayStation 5 and you have no particular concern or interest in Starfield, I'm not talking about you. However, if you have an interest in Starfield, and when you maybe knew it was probably going to be an exclusive to the PlayStation 5, but now you have animosity towards Starfield, you've never played the game, but you think the game is trash because of all of the reviews and all of everything that's being said, even though for the most part, the game continues to gain traction, even while still being a, quote, dead game, I think there might be some level of, accuracy to that statement. I don't want to say 100% that I actually bank, what I think about this overall, but I think something here might be true. There is some kind of an obsession as to what this game has done. And ladies and gentlemen, like I said, even though I may be joking in this regard, there's still a looming reality for me that PlayStation is missing out on this kind of publicity to be able to push many millions of copies of their games on top of what it is that they already have. And I know some people might disagree, but at the end of the day, you're literally disagreeing with the company being profitable, because the console sales, they're not really that profitable, are they? I mean, we looked, didn't we? We saw, didn't we? When you kind of think about everything, you go and say, well, what in the world is going on? Like, how is it possible that with the console sales, they're not being profitable? Well, look at this chart that I found here today. I've been looking for an abbreviated version of it. Let me go ahead and kind of scale it so it can fit the screen, And this is a chart of Nintendo's games, their first party games, compared to PlayStation's first party games. It has Reforged Gaming's picture there. Let's go ahead and kind of crop that out so we can get some, well, you can't. I mean, Reforged is just there anyways. But yeah, let's just leave it there. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and all of Nintendo's games have basically surpassed everything that PlayStation has done in terms of its first party games. Now, why is this the case? It's the case because so-called PlayStation folk who are talking on this channel are probably the only ones that play these single player games. And some of us, like me, I buy them. I have all of these. Let me see, except The Last of Us 2 is what I don't have. And it was some of you on this channel that told me not to bother with it. And I don't have Gran Turismo. Everything else I've bought. And I have multiple copies, multiple versions on PlayStation. And look at their sales. I have a video in my channel here. If you want to check it on my Spider-Man playlist, I showed you guys my physical copies of Spider-Man games that I have. God of War, I used to have physical copies. I think I may have gone ahead and just, sold those because I have multiple digital copies and I want to get the one on Good Old Games. Basically, I want to add to these numbers, and still we're sitting behind Nintendo, even when these games are supposedly touted to be the best games. Maybe because they're highly cinematic and people don't really care about these games for the most part. Majority of them don't. Keep in mind that Horizon Zero Dawn and God of War and Spider-Man on PS4 were released close to the time when PlayStation 4 had already dropped over 100 million units on the market. So with the 50 million units that are currently there with the PS5, do you really think that these numbers are going to be impressive when you look at the average, and when you look at the pattern that's going on? I don't think it's necessarily going to be the case. So I come back to my original argument and say, why is Spider-Man not on PC? Why is it not there eating memes and eating publicity and eating sales? Why is it sitting on a PlayStation platform where most of its players, a good chunk of them, are playing Call of Duty, Fortnite and PUBG and Minecraft, when it could be making a lot of money? So this is a valid question. As somebody who wants to see PlayStation actually compete, I truly do. I think they're just basically trying to gouge their fans and make it seem like they have this console that's out there. And another thing too I have to put in this video is, and I'll say it in my next video, is many people think I'm attacking PlayStation owners. No, I'm not attacking you. You, like me, was led to believe that we would be having the best value if we bought a PlayStation console. However, since I bought a PS5, I haven't seen that value. And so I'm basically over here saying what I think is the reality, because having had the PlayStation 5, this Xbox in this generation is the first Xbox I've ever bought and kept. Every other Xbox I bought, I sold immediately because there was nothing on the platform for me. Until this generation, when I saw they actually were, sitting there to value the customer, I said to myself, this is probably a new paradigm shift. And it is. And I'm going to wake many of you up, and you guys are going to eventually see it. Because right now, some of you want to put your hands over your face. You're not allowed to do so. As long as you're on this channel listening to these videos, man, you're about to get an earful of all this stuff. So Take care. Hopefully we'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out.